welcome, and come onto your mat. Make yourself comfortable in your seat. And we'll start with just a gentle meditation and an awareness onto the breath. So with your hands up or down onto your knees, gently close your eyes and take an internal focus to the heart center. Drop your awareness here onto the flow of your breath and just notice the quality of your breath. Perhaps noticing that the breath starts to get a little bit slower, a little bit deeper once you bring your focus onto it. And perhaps if you've been having a day that's stressful, you may want to extend your exhalation a little bit longer than your inhalation here. Throughout the practice, we maintain the focus on the breath. And from here, with the eyes still closed, if you prefer, if you want to open your eyes, just start to take your hands forward in your forward fold. And with your sit bones still firmly planted onto the floor, just start to walk your hands away from your body. Gently lift the sternum forward as you draw your shoulders away from your ears. And take your gaze to the floor. Take a couple of breaths here. You may want to sway the body from side to side, or you may just want to rest for a couple of breaths in stillness. Last exhalation here. Slowly start to sit back up through the spine. And we'll take the hands wide and reach up to the fingertips. From here, interlace the hands and press the palms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, completely draw the shoulders away from your ears. And if you like, start to take your elbows a little bit further back behind you. You should feel a stretch there for the upper back. Gently release the hands now and take whichever shin was behind forward in your interlace. And again, take the hands forward and start to walk the hands away from your body. Sit bones firmly planted. Sense of the hands drawing back towards the sit bones, almost like you're dragging the body forward slightly. Soft, smooth breath. And just folding to your comfortable capacity. Last breath here. As you exhale, take the hands back into center. And again, raise the hands high to the ceiling on an inhalation. Reach to the fingertips. As you exhale, we twist to the left, right hand to the left knee, left fingertips behind you. And gently gaze over your left shoulder. Inhale, unravel, come back to center and stretch the hands high to the ceiling. As you exhale, take your twist to the second side. Right hand behind, left hand to the top of the right knee. Inhale, raise the hands high and stretch the fingertips. And then gently lower the hands to the floor and we'll make our way to a tabletop. So we stack the joints, the wrists and the shoulders, the knees and the hips. Tuck your toes under here as well. Cat-cow, lift the heart center and the tail. Draw the shoulders away from your ears as you gaze forward. And as you take a breath out, roll the back up towards the ceiling, arching, and tuck your chin towards your sternum. Take a couple of breaths like that. Find softness through the inhalation as you arch the spine and gaze forward. Exhale and round through the back. Another breath in here. One last breath cycle. And then we come to our neutral tabletop here. And we'll just start first by taking the left foot forward in between the hands and raising the torso. So coming into like a runner's lunge here. Roll the top of your hips back, and with your navel center drawn back, just press that left knee forward. Release the shoulders away from your ears. You might feel quite comfortable here. If you want to go a little bit deeper, just lean the body weight forward slightly and maybe take the right heel up towards the right buttock. The hands can come back to support the foot. And then you want to take your shoulders here back in line with the hips for a moment. Stay here if that's accessible for you. Or start to press the hips forward slightly, and that will give you a nice deep stretch through the front of the right quad. Sense of the shoulders moving down and away from the ears. To release this one, lean forward and then take the foot to the floor. Take the shoulders back in line with the hips, and we'll take a twist to the left. Right hand to the outer left hip, and the left hand to press into the hip. Lift up through the crown of the head, and then take your gaze over your left shoulder here. Gently unravel, take the gaze forward, and lay your torso over your left leg. And from here, we're going to take the left foot forward and draw the left toes towards the left shoulder. Take a couple of smooth breaths here, finding the length for the back of the left leg now. And then slowly take that left foot back in line with the right. Come back into the tabletop, and this time just sway the hips and the shoulders in opposite directions. Notice how that feels for your spine. And here on our second side, we come back into the stillness, and we'll take the right foot forward and raise the torso. Shoulders come in line with the hips. Right hand to the top of the thigh and press the thigh forward. Draw the navel back, roll the top of the hips back, and that will give you a stronger stretch. And you can choose to stay here, or if you want, you can lean forward and maybe pick up the left foot to take it in towards the hips. Externally rotate through the shoulders here as you draw the shoulders back towards the hips and stay. Or press the hips forward. Let's take a couple of breaths here. To release, lean forward, take the left foot to the floor, and then raise the torso back in line with the hips. Left hand to the outer right thigh, the right hand presses into the back of the right hip to twist to look over the right shoulder. Gently unravel here. Lay your torso over your right thigh. Take the right heel forward, straighten the right leg. Draw the right toes towards the right shoulder. See if you can sink down through the right hip a little bit more. Lengthen up through the sternum, so there's a slight back arch here. Draw the shoulders away from the ears and take 2 breaths. And then let's take that right leg back in line with the left. We move now into downward facing dog. If you need to, you can make fists here to protect the wrists. And if it's too much for you, you can always stay in tabletop instead. And if you are staying in tabletop, you can take alternate legs back and just press back into the heel like I am now. And that will give you a nice lengthening through the backside of the legs. If you are moving through tabletop though, with the hands shoulder distance apart, tuck the toes and start to lift your hips up towards the ceiling. And we start to walk out through the dog here. So we'll press the left heel to the floor and bend the right knee. And then alternate the right heel towards the floor and the left knee bends. Continue like that, just walking out through your dog. Sense of the shoulders moving wide. And allow your head to drop down in between the shoulders here. Softness in the face and in the jaw. The sense of the armpits drawing towards your knees in the down dog. And either come into the tabletop again or just press back the heels in downward facing dog. Just for a breath or two. Lift the sit bones high. And then we make our way into a forward fold. So we're going to take the feet, walk them to the front of the mat. Take the feet hip distance, and with the knees slightly bent, lay your ribs over to your thighs, your head hang. You can take the backs of your hands to the floor here if you can reach. You don't have to have completely straight legs here. A nice bend is fine as long as you have your ribs and thighs connected. Stay here or start to lift up through the hips. You can also, if you're feeling quite tight through the back, maybe just use your forearms here to rest on your thighs, or use your hands to support on the shins. So find a variation that is giving you a stretch both for the back of your legs and the length of your body, or your torso through the spine. So if you're in the forward fold variation, take hold of the opposite elbows here and gently sway the body left and right. Notice how that feels for the spine. And release the hands to the floor. And we roll up like a rag doll. So the weight stays in the heels. And we roll up vertebra by vertebra to the stand. Draw the shoulders down towards the heels. Turn your palms forward. And we'll take a breath here. Feel the connection that your feet have on the floor. Maybe just close your eyes for a moment. And it gives you a sense here, a deeper sense of your stability. You might want to just shift your weight here, right and left, noticing how that feels for the contact of the feet on the floor, the balance within the body. Come back into stillness, and this time rock the weight forward and back. Again, just notice how that feels for balance. The muscles that you use in the soles of the feet to maintain that. The activation that you use through the core muscles. And then come into a place of neutrality where you feel completely stable. And open the eyes and gaze forward. We'll step to the front of our mats here. The big toes touching and the heels slightly apart. On your next inhalation, raise your hands high up towards the ceiling and take a breath in. And as you exhale, take the hands wide and bow forward. Again, the forearms can come to the thighs if you're very tight here, or you can take your hands to the floor or the shins. Exhale completely. Inhale, half lengthen the spine forward and gaze forward. And as you exhale here, just step back with your right foot and take your right knee to the floor. Push your hips here low into a lunge and gaze forward. And then sweep the torso up. Sink down through the hips again. Release the shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, raise your hands to the ceiling. And maybe bring a slight back arch here. Take your gaze to the thumb tip if that's comfortable, or just keep your gaze forward. Gently exhale and lay your body again over the left thigh. And we'll sink the hips back towards the right knee. Keep the hips lifted off the floor. And again, with a straight left leg, point the left toes towards your left shoulder. Lift up through the heart. Draw the shoulders from the ears. Take a breath in. Take the left toe tips here to the floor. Tuck the right foot under. And we'll just step back into downward facing dog. Press your hands forward and take your heels back. And then from here, move into a plank. You want your wrists and shoulders in line, toes and heels. Sense the navel center drawing back. And then we lower slowly to the floor with control. Maintaining that sensation through the body. We lay the body down. Press the tops of the feet into the floor, lift up through the heart. Raise the hands off the floor and draw your elbows towards the torso. If you like, you can raise the feet off the floor here as well and take a breath. And then as you exhale, take the forehead to the floor, tuck the toes, and make your way back through kneeling plank to full plank, and either to the tabletop or all the way to downward facing dog. Your choice. Hands forward, heels back. On your next inhalation, raise your heels and gaze forward. And then we step the feet slowly, or one big step to the front of the mat. Exhale, bow over the legs. Inhale, take the hands wide, press the hips forward, and come to stand. Stretch the fingertips. Maybe take a slight back arch here. Gaze to the thumb tips. Hands to the heart, exhale. Second side, release the hands down and then sweep them wide. Stretch the fingertips. Exhale, bow forward. Fingertips to the floor, the thighs or the shin. And on your next inhalation, half lift your spine and draw the shoulders away from the ears. Again, step back this time with your left foot and take your left knee to the floor. Press the hips gently forward. The right knee stays in line with the right ankle. Lift up through the torso here. Draw the hands towards the floor. Press the hips forward. And on your next inhalation, raise your hands up towards the ceiling. Stay here, gently arch through the spine. Take the gaze to the thumb tips. Bow over that right leg. Start to sink the hips over to the left hip with the left knee and straighten your right leg. Draw your right toes back towards your right shoulder. And then bend that left knee again and start to come back into either tabletop or downward facing dog. Your choice. Make your way now to a kneeling plank or a full plank. And as you exhale, gently lower the body to the floor. Lay the body down, press the tops of the feet into the floor this time, and lift up through the heart. Draw the shoulders away from your ears. And then if you can, see if you can lift the hands and raise the torso a little higher. Feet can stay connected or raise them as well off the floor. Gently lower all the way down. Make your way back through to kneeling plank, full plank, to dog or tabletop. And take a breath here. On your next inhalation, raise your heels and gaze forward. And then we'll step the feet to the front of our mats. Half lift the spine to gaze forward. And then exhale and bow over your thighs. Take your hands wide again to come to stand and stretch up towards the fingertips. Take the gaze high if that feels good for you. And then exhale, hands to the heart. And just release the hands here and give yourself a little shake up. So with the left foot at the front of the mat, let's step back with the right foot. We want to have the feet about legs distance apart, the hips pointing to the front edge of the mat, and either hand stay here onto the hips, or you can take your hands behind your back to hold on to opposite elbows. So we have this tendency for the right hip to roll back to the back right edge of your mat. What I want you to do is press the right hip forward to that front edge. See if you can draw the shoulders down and away from your back and arch the spine and gaze forward. Press into the left big toe. We're just going to bow here until you can start to feel a stretch in the back of the left leg. You may not have to go far for that. Again, you can just keep your hands onto your hips here and draw the elbows back, the shoulders away from the ears. You want to keep a slight bend here into your left knee so that it looks straight, but there is a slight bend. And we come into a balance, so we'll just bend that left knee, come onto the right toe tip here. Take your hands out wide to shoulder height, and either stay here balancing on the right toe tip or start to raise the right leg. Keep the hips level. Keep the arch in the spine, and just take another 2 or 3 breaths. And then slowly we stand up and take the right toe tip to the floor. And again, just give your legs a little shake. On the second side, the right foot stays to the front of the mat. We step back with the left foot to legs distance. Again, press that left hip forward to that front left corner of your mat. Hands to the hips or hands interlaced behind the back, it's your choice. With the navel drawn back, lift up through the heart and gently arch through the spine. Take a breath here and maintaining the strong leg, start to bow forward. Again, you don't need to come far. As soon as you start to feel the stretch here in the back of the right leg, you can hold. Center the right hip drawing back and the left hip forward. Bend in the right knee, very slight. Bring your focus onto your breath. We'll use the breath as the barometer of the practice. So as long as you can maintain that calm, smooth breath in and out, then you know that you're on the right track. You may need to slow it down if the breath starts to become a bit too rapid. Last breath here, and we're going to bend the right knee, come onto the left toe tip, shift the weight forward, and then again, you can take the hands to shoulder height here, to the palms down, and either stay here with the left toe tip or raise the left leg. Keep the arch in the spine as you lift up through the back of the left thigh. A sense of the left hip rolling down here, so the hips stay level. And then let's take that left foot forward to meet the right. And then we shake out through the legs. Again, big toes touching at the front of the mat. Let's take a breath in here and raise the hands high. And as we exhale, bow forward over the legs. Fingers to the thighs, shins, or to the floor. Half lift and inhale. And then exhale, plant the hands and come back into downward facing dog. So again, I think you may want to come into tabletop if you have any issues going on with your wrists here. Although you may want to try the wrists in the down dog to see if that's okay for you. And either from the tabletop or from downward facing dog, we'll extend the left leg behind us here and reach into the left toes. As you exhale, take that left knee forward. We're going to see if we can take the left knee behind the left wrist and the left ankle behind the right. So we're working here to keep that left hip on the floor and to take the left shin parallel to the front edge of your mat. We're working towards the right leg, being straight down the midline of the mat. So with the hands here on the floor, we can lift up through the heart, draw the shoulders away from the ears, and just gaze forward for a breath or two. Remember to draw your left toe tips here towards the left shin. If it's easy for you, you can start to draw the left heel closer to the front edge of your mat. From here, let's bow forward to your comfortable capacity. And that may mean using a cushion or a block or something that you have at home to help prop the body up, or it may just mean coming to your forearms. You may be able to lay the body down. And we're working here at rolling the right hip down, but make sure that you maintain the left hip's contact to the floor. We're going to take about 5 breaths here. And just take a gentle scan through the body, particularly through the jaw, the face, and the shoulders, and see if you're holding any unnecessary tension there. And then we direct the breath into the left hip and glute to release. Last breath here. Slowly push down through the hands and raise the torso. So you can either come back into the tabletop if that's how you got here. If you did move through downward facing dog, tuck the right toes under. See if you can pick up the left leg and then take the left leg high again, either tabletop or down dog. If you are in tabletop, just maintain this. If you have the 3-legged dog, bend the left knee and open the left hip here up towards the ceiling. Keep your shoulders square to the floor as you gaze underneath the left armpit. Extend the left leg, roll your hips here to neutral and lower the left foot down. Let's go into the other side now. So raise the right leg, reach the right toes away from you and press up through the back of the right thigh. And as you exhale here, take the right knee through the midline and take the right knee behind the right wrist and the right ankle behind the left. Take a moment just to line up through the body. You'll have one side of the body that is tighter than the other. And we want to keep the right glute onto the floor and have a sense of straightening the left leg behind us. So as we're here, lift up and arch through the spine, draw the shoulders away from the ears. And then on your next exhalation, you make your way into your comfortable forward fold on the second side. Always remember here that you don't want to feel any sharp sensations or painfulness at the knee joint. If you do, then you may want to take the heel a little bit closer to the groin, or draw the right toes towards the shin. And again, just allow your body to soften here, directing the breath to wherever you feel the most tension in the body. See if you can soften. Last breath here. Slowly start to walk the hands back. And we make our way back now into the tabletop or to the down dog. So if you're coming into down dog, tuck the left toes under. Pick up the body and see if you can pick up the left leg to hover. Or the right leg to hover, sorry. And then take the right leg behind you and reach up to the right toe tip. From here, bend the right knee and open up the right hip towards the ceiling. Take your gaze underneath the right armpit, shoulders level to the floor. And then gently release, extend the right leg away from you. Take the right foot to the floor. From here, let's take the knees to the floor. Big toes here to touch, or so to come into a wide-legged child's pose. So big toes touching and knees wide. If you prefer, you want something a little bit stronger for the adductors, we will take the knees or the feet wide, the knees wide. We want to make a straight line from the knees to the ankles, and we lower the body down into Mandukasana, the frog posture. It's a little bit stronger here for the inner thighs and the hips. If you're super comfortable here, you may be able to lower the torso down to the floor as well. Not everybody's happy posture. You want to make sure here that your hips stay in line with your knees. Let's take a couple more smooth breaths here. And then to come out of this one, we're just going to slide the body forward. And then just come back to a comfortable seat. So we're going to work on the Parigasana, the gate posture. You have two options here. Option one is just to take the legs wide. And we would do this particularly if you have knee issues. If your knees are okay, we're just going to keep the left leg long. And then we're going to tuck the right heel next to the right hip. I'm not sitting on the right foot. And the top of the right foot is just sort of pressing into the mat next to the heel or to the glute there. So what I want you to do here is just take the hands to the floor, lift up through the hips and rotate the hips back and then sit back down and just notice how that feels for you. And from here, we're going to take a twist. So take the left hand to the right thigh and raise the right hand up towards the ceiling. Reach up to the right fingertips. And as you exhale here, we start to side bend over the left leg. So you want your left toes to point up towards the ceiling. Your left knee to point up towards the ceiling as well. Now you can maintain the hands contact, the left hand's contact onto the right thigh. If you're feeling comfortable though, you may be able to take the left elbow to the floor. And you may be able just to reach down over the legs. So it's not important here that you are able to hold on to the toes, although that is where we're working towards. It's more important that you roll the right side ribs up towards the ceiling, draw the right shoulder back, and really feel the sense of lengthening from the right hip all the way out to the fingertips. Let's just take another 3 or 4 breaths here. Very slowly release the right hand and come back to your seat. Take a twist to the left. Left hand behind the left hip and the right hand to the outer left thigh. Lengthen up through the spine and then twist to look over the left shoulder. It's a bit of a reverse here, reverse twist. And then gently release and take the gaze forward. So we'll just lean over to the left if you have the right leg tucked back. And then straighten both legs out in front of you. Give the knees a little bit of a massage. And before we go on to the second side, take your heels just underneath your knees or just in front of your knees with your hands wrapped around the shins. Take a breath in and press your belly against your thighs and lift your gaze up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, gently round through the spine and tuck your chin towards your chest. Inhale, arch the spine, lift up through the collarbones and raise the gaze. Exhale and round. One more breath cycle here. Then we come into just a neutral spine and we'll come into our second side. So extend your right leg long. Again, if you have any knee issues, take the left leg long as well. If you have no issues with your left knee, we roll slightly to the right and take the left heel back. Again, we're not sitting on the foot. We take the foot as close to the glute that we can. You don't want to be experiencing any discomfort through the knee here. If you're okay to do so from here, take your hands to the floor, press down into the hands and roll the top of the hips back to free up the sit bones and then sit back down. The right toes point to the ceiling as well as the right knee. Right hand moves over to the top of the left thigh or shin. Lengthen the left hand here up towards the ceiling, making length through the left side of the body. And just maintaining that grasp onto the left leg, we start to side bend here over to the right. We'll take a couple of breaths here. Draw the left shoulder back. Take the gaze to the ceiling. Looking up over the shoulder, forearm. Either stay here, or if you are comfortable to do so, maybe the right elbow comes to the floor, to the inside of the right leg. We'll come a little bit more deeply into the posture, a real strong sense of the left side of the rib cage rolling back. And you should be getting a nice stretch here through the left waistline, the back of the right leg, and perhaps the left hip as well. Let's take another breath or two. And slowly and gently release. Come to sit straight and take the twist, the right hand behind you, the left hand to the right leg, and take your gaze over your right shoulder here. Slowly unravel. Make your way back to center. Release the left leg. And again, just give yourself a nice little massage here. So with your bands or with your straps, if you have them, we're just going to come to lay onto the back now. Come to lay flat. We're just work on the back line of the legs here, a little bit more deeply. So you want to keep the left heel on the floor here, and we'll just tuck the right knee into the body to begin with. If you have a strap or a band, just take that now around the middle part of your right foot and start to straighten the right leg. We'll use the strap here to draw the right toes a little bit closer towards the right shoulder. If you don't have a strap, just simply interlace your hands behind your right thigh. Same sort of principle though, the pressure or we stretch out through the right heel and draw the right toes to the shoulder. The left leg can either stay on the floor or straighten. Let's take a couple of breaths here. Make sure that your shoulders are not moving towards the ears. There's some softness here in the jaw. And then take the strap here into your left hand. So the right hand is going to come to the floor on the right hand side. That, or take your left hand behind the left thigh or calf, and we're going to roll to the right and just take the right toes to the floor on the left hand side. So you can use the strap or your hand here to draw the right toes up towards the right shoulder. You should feel a really lovely stretch here through the back of the right hip. Now the right hand can stay where it is, or you can extend the right arm up towards the ceiling and start to stretch up enough that you feel a lightness through the left shoulder joint. And with that lightness, start to drop the right arm down behind you and take your gaze here over the right shoulder. Just take another couple of breaths here. And to release from this one, draw your navel to your spine to protect the lower back. And either with your hand on your leg or using the strap, guide the right leg back to center. We'll hug both of the knees here into your chest. And we'll just start to make some small circles with the knees in one direction. And then the other. And then let's repeat on the second side. So take the right foot to the floor and either take your band or your strap or your belt around the sole of the left foot, or simply interlace your hands behind the left thigh. Press up into the heel, shoulders draw away from the ears, and really activate through the biceps here to draw the toes a little bit closer. You don't really want to have any tingling sensations. And you may find that a slight bend in your knee gives you a nicer stretch. So just pick the variation that feels right for you. You can keep the right sole of the foot on the floor, or again, straighten the right leg here. But we'll just take a couple more breaths with the left toes drawing towards the left shoulder. Last breath here, and either take the strap into the right hand, or to take the right hand behind the thigh or the calf, the left hand to the floor on the left hand side, just to give you some stability as we roll to the right now. The left foot makes contact with the floor to your close approximation. Right leg stays straight along the mat. Engage the right arm to draw the left toes towards the left shoulder here. The gaze can come over the left. If you like, the left hand can stay, or extend the left arm to the ceiling, and again, find that lightness through the left shoulder joint. And when you're ready, start to drop that left arm here back behind you, and we'll hold here for just a couple of breaths. Slowly with the navel drawn back, glide the left leg back up to the center, and then we'll hug both the knees here into the chest. Again, with the hands on top of the knees this time, we'll circle the knees in one direction. That's really nice for the lower back. Maybe change direction. And just for a breath or two, with the navel drawn to the spine, tuck your chin towards your sternum, wrap your hands around your shins, and come into a tight little tuck here. As you release, extend the hands and the feet here in opposite directions, and stretch out through the whole length of the body. One last stretch here. We'll take the heels underneath the knees. Just press down into the soles of the feet. We'll lift up the hips slightly, roll the top of the hips back, and then take the lower back to the floor. We'll just rock the knees here from right to left. So we have good contact with the lower back on the floor as we roll from side to side. This one is really nice for the outer hips and the lower back as well. So as you drop your knees over to your left this time, just pause here and either stay or pick up your left foot and place it on top of your right upper thigh. Your gaze can stay neutral to the ceiling, or if you want to take a bit of a cervical stretch, Take your gaze over to the right. Release the left foot here. Take the knees back up towards the ceiling, and again, just rock the knees right and left. The next time your knees drop to the right, pause there and take a breath or two. And then pick up the right foot if you did so on the left side, and put the right foot on top of the left upper thigh and pause. Turn the head if you did so on the first side, this time to the left. Last breath here. As you exhale, release the right foot and bring the knees back up to center. And this time we'll just stretch the legs away from us and move into Shavasana. So make any final adjustments. You may want to put on a sweater or some socks. And just do whatever we need to do to make the body comfortable. Feet a little bit wider than hip distance. The toes drop out to the edges of your mat. The arms a little bit wider than shoulder distance near the hips. The palms turned up towards the ceiling. Once you've found your comfortable position, try to resist the urge to move. Bring your focus onto your breath. You may notice that thoughts start to arise the moment you try to start softening the mind, and that's okay. Just simply acknowledge the thoughts as they arise. Gently return your focus back onto your breath. See if you can soften any tension within the body. We'll start to deepen the breath cycle here now, and maybe wiggle out through the fingers and the toes. If you feel ready, stretch your hands past your head and lengthen through the spine. You may want to bend your knees here and hug them into your chest one last time. Maybe rocking from side to side. And either rocking and rolling or rolling over to one side. Make your way back to your comfortable seat. From the comfortable seat, we'll take the hands together in front of the heart center. And again, with the eyes closed, just see if you can stay connected to that stillness of Shavasana. On your next inhalation, raise your hands towards the ceiling. Stretch to your fingertips. As you exhale, bring your hands to touch and take your hands to your crown. Bend your brow, your throat, and back to the heart. Om Tat Sat. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a lovely day. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know and I'll be happy to address them for you.